So after the confirmation that the Kobali are rebirthing deceased Vaadwaur from failed stasis pods on their homeworld of Kobali Prime, apparently a former Vaadwaur colony world, for now, while Starfleet Command works out what to do, we've chosen to continue supporting the Kobali. No matter what they're doing now, the Vaadwaur are still a threat and will not stop even if the stasis pods were returned. To this end, we're continuing to help in Kobali operations and move to the front to support Hachon Jitanian.
We're hanging in there, but we could use your help.
Anshin, the General, said you needed some support.
Yes, thank you for coming. One of our bases has been overrun. That facility contained research vital to our cause. Could you go to the base, recover the data, and bring it to one of our forward command posts? One of our scientists will be there waiting for you.
We set out to the eastern hills to locate this Kobali facility and find that the information we need to retrieve is actually scattered all over this area. I guess the Vaadwaur that hit this base either simply ransacked the buildings and then unceremoniously dumped its contents all over, which means that the information itself was not the target, or that they hit Kobali that were trying to extract this research material. Either way, it becomes clear that the information concerns the biology of the Vaadwaur, with numerous studies and autopsies of Vaadwaur corpses. This must be data relevant to their rebirthing process. They also mention that the Vaadwaur have been doing the same to the Kobali, with several Vaadwaur spies being discovered tailing and infiltrating their scientific installations, which led the Kobali in turn to desperately try to hide their research from them. If I was to speculate, and I'm going to, I think this data contains the processes by which the Kobali are formed, and that such information would contain extensively detailed scans of both Vaadwaur and Kobali biology. Naturally, while quite open about their method of reproduction, they withhold the nature of the exact process, something I'm sure Starfleet and others would want to study. Which now sounds more pervy than it did in my head. Now we have to fight our way to a Vaadwaur terminal to plant a virus to remove any references to the research that the Vaadwaur may have gleaned. Let's hope we acted quickly enough to contain this security breach. That done, we decide to move to the next Kobali camp located in a valley just to the east of this location. As we move from the contested territory into the Kobali's forces, a Vaadwaur patrol decides to test its luck and pursues us into our allies' ranks. It doesn't work out for them. The level of support that Starfleet is providing is rather intense. Officially, we're just here to lend support and not fight their war for them, which is why there's only a small number of starships and the Federation is not using them in any orbital capacity, relegating all efforts to ground support. Hachon Saddalor.
Thank goodness you're here. You've recovered the data from our lost base? Excellent. I knew you could get the job done. Now, we need your expertise on several issues we're encountering.
Go on, Hachon. How might Starfleet assist today?
The scientist in our camp could use your help. We are examining the bodies of fallen Vaadwaur and are encountering a type of chemical we have never seen before. We're hoping you may have the resources to identify what the chemical is.
Starfleet does have some of the best scanning and investigative equipment around. Let's take a look. At least the Kobali aren't asking us to just hand over our tech so they can use it. And no, my tricorder is not 200 years out of date, it's just retro-themed. Our scans find Kobali compounds in the Vaadwaur's bloodstream, but the chemical compound itself does not seem to grant any performance augmentation, so we send our scans to our science team on the USS Armiger. Science Officer Temet answers and she runs the simulations exposing the compounds to the Kobali rebirthing virus, and quickly learns that the virus has no effect on rewriting the DNA of a Vaadwaur's cells containing this compound. It's an inoculation against being Kobalified. She then concludes that if the entire Vaadwaur populace and stasis pods were exposed to this immunisation, then the Kobali would no longer be able to turn them. After some minutes, we report our findings to the Hachon.
Excellent work. We've already lost several scouts assigned to search the Vaadwaur bases for this information. Oh no! This could be devastating! The Vaadwaur intend to destroy our ability to reproduce! We need more information about this chemical.
I mean, I guess that's the case? Wait, so you are transforming Vaadwaur killed in combat too? I thought you probably were.
Of course we are. What else would we do with them? we give the Fallen a chance to be reborn. And now that the Vaadwaur are attempting to eliminate our entire species, we must take every opportunity to expand it.
Yes, but the Vaadwaur don't want that. Clearly their inoculation is to prevent you from tampering in their species. Continue to convert the dead found outside of this conflict, and I'm not saying the Vaadwaur are justified all over, but isn't it a bit dishonourable?
Dishonorable? We believe that not turning a lost soul into a Kobali is a grave insult. It is saying that person was so despised, so destructive, that they do not deserve a second chance at life. I would not wish that upon anyone, not even the Vaadwaur.
But that is categorically not what the Vaadwaur believe. Besides, isn't raising a former enemy into a Kobali dangerous? We've seen that for a time afterwards at least, their original memories and personality linger before the Kobali affinity for their own species asserts itself. What's the next step?
We have already lost several scouts trying to get this information. Now we need to focus our efforts on obtaining samples of this chemical. We have no scouts to spare, so you will have to take up the charge to recover chemical samples, either from dead Vaadwaur or canisters left in the field.
Are you sure all of your scouting parties have been killed?
We have reports that they may still be alive. However, we have to act fast on this new lead. If we do not strike now and gather more samples, the Vaadwaur could potentially stockpile more of these chemicals. It is an incredible decision, but we must consider the future of our people. Our scouts knew the dangers of their mission.
Normally I'd agree to prioritise the mission, but I feel that rescuing the scouts in this case is closer to the amount of cooperation that we should be providing. Saving lives seems to be a priority to me. Plus, spearheading yet another Kobali strike team doesn't quite sit right with me, and I'd rather limit our involvement where we can. We'll be heading into the fringes of the forest in the foothills, pressing deeper into Vaadwaur-held territory. Here there are many scouting parties in small amounts wandering through the mudded, trodden pathways. These patrols are constant, and I found it better to take them out while they were isolated and move up through the undergrowth rather than try to bypass them all by sneaking past, as there is a high risk of being spotted and drawing more Vaadwaur than you can handle. This is also the location of a minefield that periodically is deployed by the Vaadwaur, an open mission where players can attempt to disarm the mines without detonating them. Amid these patrols, however, we can locate some remaining Kobali scouts, and I'll prioritise setting them free. Once we're in a safe spot, Medic Zox reports that the surviving scouts have located an abandoned Vaadwaur base on the coast beyond this sparse forest. We fight, sneak and flee from some more Vaadwaur patrols in order to reach the sloping shore and find this emptied camp. While we're here, let's see if we can ascertain any more information on the Vaadwaur's plans. Accessing a still-powered console, it becomes apparent that this outpost is not as vacant as it first appeared, as several Vaadwaur advance down the slopes from behind us. With the waters behind and the walls to the sides, we're going to have to make a stand. I call in a security team to assist and hold off the incoming Vaadwaur. Honestly though, I found that this fight is not too difficult, as the enemies tend to trickle in rather than rush our position full on. Even their leader, a shielded technician, falls without too much hassle.
I'm here with reinforcements. We have to form a plan of attack.
Ah, Captain Dralia, I didn't see your team approach. I'm guessing there's more to come.
I'll try to override the console. We need to get these shield generators working.
Why do we need to get the shield Is that mortar fire? Uh-oh. We rush to activate these shield generators. It seems that the Vaadwaur are willing to simply shell this facility from afar, sacrificing it in order to eliminate us. I guess they really want us dead. Or there's information here they want to keep quiet. Probably a little bit of both, but either way, sucks to be them leaving this place unguarded, and with fully functional shields. We manage to raise their own shielding barriers, postponing their assault. Are these shells containing a gas? Captain Dralia calls out that the Vaadwaur ground forces are trying once again to attack us now that their bombardment is not an option. So together we hold off their second assault. Again, not too much of a hassle. I'm guessing that this ambush did not go as planned, and I have a theory on that, but first, Dralia has unencrypted the console we were originally toying with, so let's see what all the fuss was about.
Have you found anything?
Look, give me a sec. If it's not a preloaded algorithm where I only have to push one button, let me just check this out. This immunization they created, it was in those shells they hit us with.
If that's true, then
They're weaponizing it.
the Vaadwaur intend to infect everyone on the planet, living and dead, with this virus. If they succeed, it could mean the extinction of the Kobali people. I'll stay here to gather more data. Recommend you inform the Kobali immediately.
Yeah, the Vaadwaur immunizing their own is one thing. Turning it into a mass dispersal weapon, that's crossing a line. Just as the Kobali didn't give the Vaadwaur a choice, the Vaadwaur won't be giving anyone else a say. Not to mention the tactical disadvantage and the possibility of an entire race's effective sterilization. This, unlike my prior trepidation, is an event I can decisively act on with no reservations. That the Vaadwaur compound has to go. Saddleor. So that information site your scouts were after? Well, the Vaadwaur were planning to weaponize their anti-kobali serum and sort of infect everyone.
We can't let this happen. The Vaadwaur clearly want more than this planet. They want to drive us to extinction. Please, take this news to General Kinnell. We've repaired the transporter at this base, so you should be able to come and go as you please.
Well, isn't that convenient? I'll beam back to HQ and see what he wants to do about this. So I can understand the Vaadwaur wanting to immunise their own troops, and honestly, to me at least, it comes off as a little deaf and naive of the Kobali to just assume that the Vaadwaur would let this slide. I honestly don't have a problem with the serum, even though it seems to completely shake the Kobali. Well, I'm guessing this is the first time something like this has happened to them. But in typical Vaadwaur militant fashion, they see it not as a choice or a right, but as a weapon. This is why, sympathise with them as I might, we cannot trust the Vaadwaur.
The Vaadwaur plan to make all organisms immune to rebirth? They have gone far beyond what I thought they were capable of. This is no mere war. This is an attempt at genocide. I will inform the members of the Alliance at once. We may need to move battle operations forward to combat this new threat. We will need your help again soon enough. Our forward base in the hills has new information regarding the Vaadwaur's chemical attack plans. Can you meet with Hanshin Saddleor about this new intel? I imagine, given our track record, that this will not be as easy a task as it sounds.
Alright, turn around and let's go back the way we came. Fortunately, the transporter is actually rather convenient. Honestly, as you guys seem to prefer longer episodes, I thought I'd just mush two together here, so let's carry on. The General said you have news. It's been, what, 5 minutes?
Yes, I do. The Vaadwaur have data on their project, somewhere in the hills. Our scouts attempted to recover more information, but they never made it back to base. The data should still be on them, if you can find their bodies. It's a grim task, but could you recover the data, and then search for information on the chemicals?
Your scouting parties might need some work. Heading back into the forest, we keep an eye out for the returning Kobali scouts, or their bodies, and sure enough, not long into our expedition, we stumble across the corpses of a scattering of a Kobali team. We need to search 3 of them to uncover the data we need, but there are clearly more than that lying about. To be fair, I think the Vaadwaur are calculated and practiced in their anti-espionage tactics. That abandoned base we stumbled across earlier, where we were shelled with the anti-kobali serum, I think they leaked that base's location on purpose, not only to lure in Kobali scouts, but to then test their compound, perhaps on the scouts themselves. Maybe it was just a last-minute plan from the Vaadwaur, but it seems that had we been Kobali, no doubt their serum would have had a worse effect than it did, and the Kobali would have fallen for it, had we not been the ones to investigate. As it is, we locate the 3rd scout's body and recover their recorded intelligence. I wonder why the Vaadwaur didn't confiscate it. So, we now have the location of the Vaadwaur's base that contains data on their chemical weapon, and it's not too far from here. If we press on, we may be able to recover the exacting nature of their serum. Nestled into an overlook in the rocky hills sits their base, and it's pretty well defended. We deal with the initial guard patrols and a wave of troops and advance into the camp proper. Looks like we have support here from another crew. Most of these missions on the Kobali front are open for anyone to join in and repeatable after completion, so if you're having trouble with a particular mission, you can often just wait for someone else and join in. The small camp is secured and we gain access to the enemy's files. Bizarre, my Saurian tactical officer, is able to discern that it is indeed part of the chemical formula of their anti-kobali serum. I suspect he had help from Temet, the actual science officer. Unfortunately, the Vaadwaur don't keep all of their intel in one site, and we will have to hit others in order to secure the whole formula. The Vaadwaur really are better at this sort of thing than the Kobali, aren't they? We repeat our assault on their outposts and retrieve the information we need to complete the formula. These outward bases are each equipped with a myriad of facilities: cargo, transporter drop pods that bypass Kobali scattering fields, tactical maps of the surrounding terrain, and their comm towers, which we've seen can be used to eavesdrop on Kobali communications. They really have dug in, but I don't see any barracks or sleeping posts, so I think they're able to beam in and out in shifts. If that's the case, we better move before more arrive. The last outpost is heavily defended, larger than the other two combined, and the Vaadwaur were expecting us. This is an open battle with any forces in the area available to join in, and the small strike we had originally planned escalates into a full-on battle, with the Vaadwaur reinforcements beaming in heavily armed commanders and technicians that need to be put down in order to complete the mission, but even then, the troops don't stop coming. Taking a minute to regroup, we have to wait for a lull in the fighting to make a run for the final console and snatch our prize, the finalised formula. The objective complete, we're going to have to call it a retreat. There's just too many of them here, and they aren't going to yield this position. Besides, it's deep in enemy territory, and what would we do if we held it anyway? Reinforcements would take too long to reach us, so we got what we came for. Let's bug out. Our destination is the concealed Kobali scouting outpost that, so far, is yet to be discovered by the Vaadwaur. We are in their territory after all and cannot afford to fight our way back to friendly soil, so we'll have to reach this new location fast before they come after us. The entrance to this outpost is hidden by a holographic projection of a rock face. In reality, it conceals an entire cave. Hanchon Grazar is the forward commander here, so we report in to him. Got a present for you, Hanchon. The anti-kobali chemical formula, freshly baked and still piping hot, although the chefs are still after us. Sorry we didn't radio ahead. I didn't want to expose your location so close to the Vaadwaur.
Excellent. We've been wondering when we would hear from anyone else, and having some place the Vaadwaur haven't found yet has been extremely valuable. Unfortunately, there is still more work to be done. We have key components of the strain, but we still need one last thing before we can create an antivirus.
And cue puberty.
Your information on the Vaadwaur's anti-kobali research has been invaluable. But in order for it to work, we need a sample of the original strain of the virus. We know that the base near us has the original strain of the virus stored, but we don't have the strength to assault it. Would you lead the charge to get the original strain?
Very well. Let's see this weapon halted. Give me an hour to rest and we'll get back out there. Thus concludes day 4 of the Kobali front, and originally this video was 2 episodes that I've mushed together, as you guys seem to prefer the longer episodes as opposed to 2 shorter ones a week, so I hope you'll be there for the next part of the Kobali front as we try to put an end to this threat. I saw some interesting sentiments in the comments about people's position on the Vaadwaur-Kobali situation. Some had a clear leaning on the subject, to them choosing a side seemed obvious, while others were conflicted, and some saw it coming. So I'm curious, how do recent developments factor into people's opinions? I've made my thought processes known, that the Vaadwaur have now taken it too far, and honestly I suspected they would, but what about you? So, until then, I've been Rick, and I'll see you next time. Thanks again for watching, and goodbye.